Go out to your coop tonight after full dark with a flashlight. If you have chicken mites, this is the only hour you will ever catch them. Run your hand along the underside of the roost bar, right where the wood meets the bracket. If you come back with little specks moving on your fingers and one of them smears rust red when you crush it, that red is your hen's blood. She has been paying for that all summer, a drop at a time, while you slept. I have kept birds a long while now, and I will tell you the plain truth about mites. A hen carrying a heavy load can lose more than 3% of her blood volume in a single night. Not once, every night. Tens of thousands of them can ride one bird, and the worst of it is you will never see them in daylight, because by sunup they are back down in the cracks of your woodwork, digesting. Here is what I am promising you, and I want it said early so you know where we are going. By the end of this, you will know how to find them tonight, how to clear them out, and how to keep them gone. And the whole thing will cost you $0, not 20, not 5. $0 because the strongest thing you will use, your stove already made for you, and it is sitting in the ash pan right now. And one more thing before we start, because it is the question that keeps folks awake and almost nobody answers it honestly. If you leave these alone, they do not stay in the coop. I will give you the straight answer on that, the one your neighbor is too polite to give you, and the one habit that keeps it from ever becoming your problem. If plain, practical old-way farming is what you are after, subscribe and come along, because I put one of these out every week. Now, before you treat anything, you have to know what you are fighting, because there are 3 of them and the treatments are not the same. Get this wrong and you will lose a whole summer treating the right way in the wrong place. I have done it. I will save you from doing it. The first is the red mite. Some folks call it the roost mite, and it is the one most of you have. Here is the trick of it, and here is why people miss it for years. The red mite does not live on your hen. It lives in your coop. Down in the seam of the roost, in the joint of the nest box, under the lip of anything wood. It comes out in the dark, climbs on her while she sleeps, drinks its fill, and is gone back into the wood before morning. So you can part her feathers in broad daylight, find nothing at all, and swear the bird is clean, while every single night she is being bled. The second is the northern fowl mite, and it does the exact opposite. That one lives its whole life on the bird, mostly back around the vent and the tail where it is warm. It lays its eggs right in her feathers, so you find that one in the daytime in your hands by turning her over and parting the feathers around her back end. If you see dirty, crusty buildup down at the base of the feathers, and little dark specks moving on the skin, that is the fowl mite. And the third is the scaly leg mite, and it is a different animal again. That one burrows up under the scales of the legs and feet. You will know it because the scales lift and go crusty and rough instead of lying smooth and flat. That one you smother. Plain petroleum jelly on the legs every few days, and it seals the air off and the mite dies underneath. Do not pick at the crusts. Do not force the old scales off. Grease the legs and let her heal at her own pace, and the scales come back smooth as the new ones grow in. Now hold on to this, because it is the single most useful thing I can tell you today. The red mite you fight in the coop. The fowl mite you fight on the bird. Mississippi State's Extension Service says it about as plain as it can be said, that it is not necessary to treat the birds to control the roost mite, but the treating of the premises has to be thorough. Same cheap tools, opposite targets. Knowing which one you have saves you a month of dusting the wrong place. So how do you check tonight? 3 ways, and none of them cost anything. The first is the flashlight and the white rag, and it has to be after full dark, because in the daytime they are hidden and you will call a filthy coop clean. Run that white cloth along the underside of the roost and into the cracks where the wood meets. Specks that move, and a rust red smear when you crush them, and you have your answer. Check the ends of the roost first, where it sits in the bracket. That is their favorite bunk. The second is her comb. A bird being bled goes pale in the comb and the wattles. There was a study done on a commercial flock of near 13,000 hens, and before treatment better than 1 in 5 birds had a pale comb. After they cleared the mites out, that dropped to 3 in 100 and the birds' blood counts came up with it. Pale comb is not nothing. Pale comb is a bird running low. And the third is your egg basket. A good layer going quiet is a bird telling you something. And look at the shells while you are at it. Those little red-brown smears you sometimes find, that is not blood from the hen herself. That is a mite that got squashed under the egg as it rolled in the nest, full of her blood. That is how you find them. And I promise you the fix costs nothing and your stove already made it. But before I show you the fix, let me answer the thing you actually came here worried about. Every time this subject comes up, somebody says the same thing and they say it's scared. They say, I think I brought them into the house. And most folks who make videos like this will not touch that question. So I am going to give you the honest answer, all of it, the frightening part and the calming part, and I want you to hear both. The frightening part first. Yes, these mites will bite people. There is a medical name for it, gamma-soidosis, and doctors have been writing it up for decades. The bites come as small, red, itchy bumps, usually in little clusters, and they show up overnight because that is when the mite feeds. Some folks come up in a hive sort of rash within minutes. And yes, homes do get infested. That is documented, not rumor. Now the calming part, and it is bigger than the frightening part. They do not live on people. The veterinary manual puts it flatly that these mites cannot survive on humans or infest them. You are not infested. You are being bitten by something that lives somewhere else and came looking for a meal. They cannot set up house on a person. They cannot breed on a person. And that is the difference between a nuisance you can fix and a nightmare you cannot. Second thing, the scale is much smaller than the internet will tell you. Across all the medical literature, worldwide, going back decades, a little over 240 cases of this have ever been formally written up. 240. It is real, and it is documented, and it is not common. Third thing, and this one surprised me, when they trace these household cases back, the coop usually is not the culprit. Most of the time it is a wild bird nest on the house itself. In the eaves on a window ledge tucked in behind the air conditioner. The chicks fledge, the nest goes cold, the mites go hunting for the nearest warm thing, and that is you on the other side of the wall. So if you are getting bitten, look up at your own eaves before you blame your hens. Fourth, they do not carry disease to people. Researchers have found bacteria riding on mites, and that is worth studying, but nobody has shown they pass sickness to a person. Minnesota's Extension Service says it plain, that bird mites are not known to transmit disease to humans. And fifth, these things end. There is a case written up of a family who kept an open hen house, collected eggs out of it every week, and got bitten for 4 months before anyone worked out why. When investigators went through that apartment, do you know how many mites they found in the bedding? 3 mites. They hitched a ride on people. They never moved in. And once that family cleaned properly and washed everything hot, the whole thing was over in 20 days with no medicine at all. Now, the habit that keeps this from ever being your problem, and it is one sentence. Keep 1 set of clothes and 1 pair of boots that only ever go to the coop and leave them at the door. That is not folklore. That is what the Extension Services actually recommend. Wash coop clothes hot. Keep the wild birds out of your run and off your eaves, because that is where the trouble really starts. Do that, and the walk from your coop to your kitchen stops being a road they can travel. One last kindness on this, and then we will get to work. If you have been bitten and gone to a doctor and been told it is in your head, you would not be the first. There is a case in the dermatology journals of a woman treated as if she were imagining it, and she was not. She had mites. So if it comes to it, catch one on a piece of clear tape and take it with you. Bring the evidence. You are not imagining it. Right now, the weapon. A chicken already knows how to fight these things. She has known for longer than we have kept her. Watch a hen dig herself a hollow in dry dirt and throw it up through her feathers and lie there with her eyes half shut, and understand that she is not being lazy. She is treating herself. That dust works its way down to the skin, and it dries out and scours off the things trying to live on her body. But here is the part almost nobody tells you, and it is the difference between a dust bath that works and a hole in the ground. Back in 2012, researchers at the University of California put this to the test properly. Hens bathing in plain sand, just sand on its own, showed no reduction in mites at all. None. But sand with a drying agent mixed into it cleared 80 to 100% of the mites and lice off those birds inside of 1 week. So the bath is only the delivery. The dust is the medicine. A bare dirt wallow is a hen going through the motions. And that is where your stove comes in. Wood ash is a fine, dry, absorbent mineral dust, which is exactly the sort of thing that dries a mite out and kills it. Now I am going to be straight with you the way I would want somebody to be straight with me. Nobody has run wood ash through a laboratory trial against poultry mites. What has been tested is the same family of dry dusts, and those work, and they work by drying the bug out through its shell. Ash belongs to that family, and Amish and English farmers both have leaned on it for generations. So I will tell you what my grandfather told me and what the science does support, and I will not dress it up past that. Here is how we build the pit, and it is the same one every time. Find a dry spot and put a roof over it. That is the first rule and the one most folks skip. Rain turns a dust bath into a mud bath, and a mud bath does nothing at all. Under the eave of the coop, under a lean-to, inside an old crate laid on its side, anywhere it stays dry. Make it big enough that a hen can get right down in it and turn around. An old tractor tire is about perfect. A low wooden box works. Sink it a little if you can, so she is in it rather than on it. Then the mix. Loose dry dirt for the body of it, a few shovels of coarse sand to keep it from packing down hard, and then your wood ash, and I want you to be particular about the ash. Clean hardwood ash out of the stove, fully cold. Never ash off painted or treated or pressure-treated wood, never charcoal briquettes because of what is in the binders, and never a pan that might still have a live ember down in it. Now on the amount, do not get generous. Ash is alkaline, and it is a dust, and too much of it is hard on a bird's lungs and her eyes, same as it would be on yours. The organic grower's guidance, I trust, puts it at about 1/4 cup of ash to the gallon of dirt and sand, and the reason they cap it there is exactly that, the breathing. So mix it through. Do not pour a bucket of ash in a pit and call it a dust bath. And wear a mask when you are mixing it, because you are standing in the cloud. Keep it dry, keep it topped up, keep it where she can get to it every day, and that hen will do her own pest control from now until the frost, for $0 forever. Now if you want one upgrade, and only if you want it, food-grade Diatomaceous earth is the dust that actually went through those trials. A bag runs $15 or $20 and lasts a small flock a year. It must say food grade on it, never the pool filter kind, which is heat treated into a form that is genuinely dangerous to breathe. And know its honest limit, which is that it does not kill mite eggs, so it knocks a population down without finishing it. That is an upgrade. The ash pit is the method, and the ash pit is free. One more trick, and this one came from a viewer, and it is a good one. For a bird you can catch, an old paintbrush lets you work a little of that dust down into the feathers around the vent, gently, where the foul mite actually lives. Mask on, away from her face and her eyes. You are not dredging her. You are getting the dust where the bug is. So say the recipe back to me before we move on, because this is the one thing I want you to leave with. A dry spot with a roof over it. Loose dirt for the body. A few shovels of coarse sand. 1/4 cup of clean, cold hardwood ash to the gallon, and no more than that. Keep it dry, keep it topped up. That is the whole thing, and it costs $0. Now all of that treats the bird, which is exactly right for the foul mite and for lice. But if what you have is the red mite, the roost mite, then the bird is not where the fight is. The fight is in your woodwork, and that is the coop sweep. And I want you to do the first sweep inside 48 hours, not next month when you get to it. 48 hours, because every night you leave it is another night she is being bled. 2 days is all this takes, and here is the order. Birds out first. Then strip the coop right down. All the bedding, all of it, out of there, and do not just tip it by the run where they will crawl straight back in. Haul it well off or burn it. Then go for the cracks, because that is the whole job. Not the floor, the cracks. The ends of the roost bar where it sits in the bracket, the seams of the nest boxes, the corners, anywhere 2 pieces of wood come together. That is their house. Boiling water straight out of the kettle, poured into those seams, kills what is down in there, and it costs you nothing but the fuel to boil it. Go along every joint. Take the roost bars out if they lift out, and do them from both sides. You will hear of folks running a flame along the seams instead, and heat does kill them, but I will not tell you to carry an open torch into a wooden building full of dry bedding. The kettle does the same work, and it cannot burn your coop down. Fresh dry bedding back in, and a light dusting of ash worked into those same cracks as you go. And then the part that everybody skips. You have to go again. Here is why. Whatever you did today killed the live mites. It did not kill the eggs. The University of Kentucky's entomology people say it plainly, that mite eggs are not touched by most treatments, and that a follow-up is very important, and that infestations are rarely controlled by a single go. Those eggs down in the seams hatch out behind you, and in warm weather a red mite goes from egg to biting adult in about 6 days at the height of summer, 7 in ordinary warm weather. So a week or 2 later they are back, and you conclude that nothing you did worked. It worked, you stopped too soon. Go again inside of 7 days, and sooner than that in a hot spell, because 6 days is all they need in real heat. That second pass catches the generation that hatched behind you before it is old enough to lay. Then a third pass the week after that, and you have broken the cycle rather than dented it. And do not think an empty coop cleans itself either. A red mite can live months without a meal. Months. The veterinary manual will tell you a poultry house can stay infested the better part of a year after the birds are taken out of it. You cannot starve them out. You have to go in after them. Now let me save you from the mistakes, because they are the same handful every time, and 2 of them will hurt your birds. The first one I have to say hard, because somebody suggests it every single time this comes up. Do not put used motor oil on your chickens. Not on the birds, not on their legs, not painted on the roosts. Kansas State's Extension Service says it flat out. No fuel oil, no kerosene, no motor oil, no petroleum product on birds at any time. Oil mats the feathers, and her feathers are how she holds her body heat, so a bird that has been oiled can chill and die of it. And her first instinct is to preen, which means she swallows whatever you put on her. On top of that, California's Environmental Health Agency lists used engine oil as carrying benzo-ipyrene and other such compounds, and says exposure may raise cancer risk, and that is a thing absorbed through skin. Yours when you handle it. There is no version of this worth doing. Second, the lime. If you watch the one on keeping eggs through the year, you will remember I had to stop and clear lime up in that video too, and it is the very same trap. 2 completely different products, one name on both bags, and people mix them up. Hydrated lime, builder's lime, quicklime, those are caustic. Extension guidance on lime in poultry houses says it burns the footpads of birds if it is left on the floor, and that the dust burns eyes and airways. The other one, barn lime or garden lime, is just ground limestone, and it is not caustic at all. But here is the catch. And a University of Wisconsin poultry specialist says it herself, that the safe kind will not hurt your chickens, and it will not do anything beneficial either. So the one that does something will burn your hens, and the one that is safe does nothing. Neither of them is your mite answer. Leave the lime alone. Third, do not seal or lacquer or paint over a problem you have not cleaned out. Painting a coop has its place for closing up hiding places, but a coat of anything over live mites in a seam is just a roof over their heads. Fourth, and this is where whole summers go, quit dusting hens every weekend for a mite that is living in your roost ends. You are treating the one place it is not. And fifth, the big one, the one that undoes all the rest. Do not stop after one cleaning. The eggs hatch behind you. 3 passes, a week apart, or you have only knocked them back. Now on the chemical route, I will be honest rather than smug about it. Permethrin is registered for poultry. There are dusts labeled for exactly this job, and it is a legitimate thing for a person to use. If you go that way, the rule is one sentence. Use only a product whose label names poultry and follow that label, including what it says about eggs. It is on the label that using it any other way breaks federal law. And do not let anyone talk you into ivermectin for laying hens. The national residue people say straight out that there is not enough data to even give you a safe egg withdrawal time. If you are eating the eggs, that is not a gamble to take on your own say-so. I am not telling you the chemicals do not work. I am telling you that the ash pit and the kettle and the second pass got the job done on this ground for a long time before any of it existed, and there is nothing on your eggs at the end of it. So let me make good on what I promised you at the start. I said 0 mites and $0 by the end of this, and here is what that actually looks like on your place, because you have earned the picture. You go out one night in a few weeks after full dark with that same flashlight and that same white rag, and you run it down the underside of the roost. And it comes back clean. No specks, no rust. You do it again the next week clean. Third week clean. That clean rag 3 times running is your finish line. And around the same stretch, 7 to 10 days after you clear them out, you will notice the combs coming back. That pale washed-out color pinks up again as the bird rebuilds what was being taken from her. She stops dreading the coop at night, and within 2 or 3 weeks the basket starts filling the way it used to. And now the arithmetic, because that is the part that ought to make you go out there tonight. When researchers cleared red mite off working farms and measured what happened, the laying rate came up by anywhere from about 1% to better than 12%, depending on the farm. 12% of a season out of a dozen hens is a lot of breakfasts. Those are eggs you already paid the feed for. You just were not getting them because they were going out through the roost bar every night, a drop at a time, into something the size of a pinhead. And against that, add up what this cost you. The ash was free out of the stove. The dirt and the sand were already on the place. The boiling water was a kettle. The bedding you were going to change anyway. The paintbrush was in the shed. $0 and 2 Saturdays and a habit of looking in the cracks with a flashlight now and again. That is the whole thing. $0 against a flock that is quietly bleeding. So your flock is safe now. The next thing is feeding it without the feed store bleeding you the same way. And I have a video on how the Amish do that for about $1.25 a week, and another on keeping your eggs a year without a refrigerator. They are both waiting for you on the screen. Subscribe and I will keep bringing you the old ways that still work, because the store was never part of the plan. And remember, the people who fed this country with their own 2 hands knew things about the soil we are only just beginning to remember.